It's time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy. Transformed into a full of the undisputed.
My style is impetuous.
From the Billy C Studios. It's time for the Billy C Show. Whenever you listen, whenever you're watching. To get a decent Italian meal. The show is also being brought to us in part by Billy's Triple G Canelo right here, wherever you're watching the Billy C Show. Approximately 6 minutes after the official announcement is.
And at the end of the bell, the last bell, or whenever they do the last count, I think we're going to have a pretty good decision rendered that would be deserved. I don't think we're going to get too much swaying of the vote here, in my opinion.
You don't think you do think that? So explain. Do you think that Triple G can get a fair decision in Las Vegas?
I think he can. I think this is, this is going to be the world stage, and I really believe that there would be an outcry of injustice, as we see sometimes that does occur when a decision isn't really above board. And this would be magnified because, for whatever reason, I think if the fight is close, I believe it will go to Canelo Alvarez. And I think Triple G would have to be dominant. He'd have to clearly win probably 7 or 8 of the 12 rounds. I think he's going to have to be clearly dominant on a lot of levels during the course of this fight, and to earn a decision. So I think it does tip a little bit in favor of De La Hoya's side and Canelo Alvarez's side. If it was an even 50-50 fight at the end of the bell. But if it's dominated by Triple G, I do feel he will get a fair shake, in my opinion.
I totally 100% disagree with you. I don't think that he will get a fair decision at all. And let me give you some reasons why. Tell me. First and foremost, everything to do with this fight, everything from the fact of even making the fight at this stage versus a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, has been Canelo and Golden Boy. I mean, they are in the driver's seat. The everything to do with the fight, the money division, the purse split in Canelo's favor. He gets to walk out second, Canelo's favor, even though Triple G has got all the belts. It doesn't matter. Canelo is the front line. He's the A side. All right. Canelo is being branded as a star. I questioned. And I don't know how I even questioned my man Coach, but in the chat room yesterday, he had said that there was a funky rematch clause, and we had talked about the rematch clause. We had said no fighter would put their titles on the line without a rematch clause. Well, check it out. The rematch clause in this particular fight is only for Canelo. If Triple G wins the fight, Canelo can exercise a rematch clause. But if Canelo wins the fight, Triple G can't get a rematch. So, I'm talking about, I criticize the top 2 divas in boxing. And in the order, I have it as Andre Ward and Miguel Cotto. But guess what? There's a new diva in town, and his name is Canelo Alvarez. I am shocked and appalled that the only way that Triple G could get this fight is to concede every possible concession to Canelo. And furthermore, to back that, to add to that, I should say, there is no way in hell that Triple G will get a fair decision in Las Vegas with that gutless, spineless piece of garbage named Bob Bennett who's the the executive director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, guarantee that Oscar De La Hoya is shoving some money under the table for the Three Stooges, which we're going to call the three judges, the referee in that fight, and the executive director, Bob Gutless, spineless piece of garbage Benlett, to give that fight to Canelo. The only way, in my opinion, that Triple G can win this fight if he knocks the F out of Canelo. If he knocks Canelo the F out. That's the only way, Sal. So I have to disagree. As much as we would want it to be fair, it ain't going to be, my man.
Well, Bill, I'll tell you, remember Paul Harvey? And now the rest of the story. Well, you didn't tell me that missing piece of the evidence, or evident, which was the fact that if Triple G wins this fight, Canelo Alvarez has a rematch clause. But if Canelo Alvarez wins this fight, Triple G does not have that opportunity. I've never heard something so lopsided and so much in favor of one fighter. So, Billy C., you convinced me that I think Triple G is going to have to knock him from left field to the moon in order to get a decision. And you know what? I lost a little bit of a shine off of Canelo Alvarez and his whole camp there, just for that sole purpose.
Yeah, but in all due respect, let's not forget. And before we blame, I mean, when we look at Andre Ward, he does the same crap. We look at Floyd Mayweather when he fought, he did the same crap. You know, those two guys, Miguel Cotto, same thing. You know, those three guys all control what they do, all right? I mean, let's be real. Floyd Mayweather is a master. He makes all the decisions for his career. He's not waiting for a promoter or a manager or somebody else to make a decision. Andre Ward has positioned himself to do the same, and so has Miguel Cotto. But in Canelo's case, with all due respect, Canelo Alvarez is letting Oscar De La Hoya make the decisions. So before we throw Canelo under the bus saying, oh, he's a diva, just like I already am calling him a diva, you know, it isn't him. It's Oscar De La Hoya. And, you know, it appalls me that they're going into this fight with all of the eggs in their basket. And let me tell you something. You know, the more I'm wavering back and forth with this fight, because it is a tough one to pick, you know, this kind of, I believe that this is a strong motivational tool for Triple G. I mean, here's a guy that could conceivably say, hey, I'm not getting any respect. I'm not getting any respect from the powers that be. I'm not getting respect from certain fans. You know, I'm not getting any respect. That has to be a motivational tool. And you know what? This should be a lot of pressure on Canelo, because Canelo going in as the A side, being the so-called superstar of this fight, you know, he's got to perform too. He's bulked up. He's got a lot more muscle mass from photos I've seen. And Triple G is Triple G. So I tell you, man, I believe that Triple G must win by knockout. I don't think he's got a chance at a decision, whether he batters Canelo around the ring for 12 rounds. I don't think this guy's going to get a decision in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I'll tell you what. Draw a good case, Billy, and I'm gonna say this. You know, one thing that we have looking at this matter, and I'm gonna try to explain this. You know, Canelo Alvarez is what, 28 years of age?
Yeah, 28.
How old is Canelo?
Canelo?
Yeah.
Canelo is, let me see, I have it right here. I think 27.
27, okay. And Triple G is what, 36, 35?
35.
All right. Now, I got to try to explain this in a very delicate, non-offensive way.
Why?
But when you're
don't be scared. If you got to be offensive, hey, listen. I've thrown out us trying to be political correct on this show a long time ago. I am so sick of tippy-toeing around, so we don't want to offend anybody. Everybody's a bunch of wimps. You know, if you can't take a little offensive stuff every now and then, give me a break. If it's the truth, speak the truth, damn it.
All right. You know what? I love.
Right.
You what now?
We missed it. You went out.
And you know what? When you're 35, 36, you have arrived. You feel you could do things. And
we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. I apologize for the stream. There's a couple of streams that are not behaving themselves today. So if you're getting frustrated, we will upload a clean version of this show within the next 24 hours. So hang tight. Before we went to break, we were talking about the fair shake. Can Triple G get a fair shake against Canelo in Las Vegas? Does he have to win by knockout? I personally think he does. I got some arrival quotes. I'm here with Sal Rocky Senecola. I think we are having trouble with everything. So even Sal's connection. So we apologize for that.
I'm here.
And I know, but I'm just saying we have some problems, Sal. So Canelo Alvarez, arrival quote, says, "I can assure you that I'll do my part and I'll do my best to give you all a beautiful fight. The most important thing for me is a win. I always prepare myself to give the best. I want this for my people, my team, my country. And that's what I'm going to do Saturday. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to win this fight. I prepared myself for the knockout. Look, anything can happen in this fight, but that's what I prepared for, to knock him out." Triple G says, "I'm Gennady Golovkin until I walk into the ring, and that's when I turn into Triple G. It's not that I'm mean or angry. I'm just more focused. This is the perfect fight for fans and the perfect fight for me. I will enjoy it. I've wanted him," meaning Alvarez, "because of the Cotto fight when he became the mandatory challenger. I'm old school. I think there should be just one champion. All my career, I've been denied the fights. I wanted Felix Sturm. I wanted Martinez. I wanted Cotto. That ends Saturday night." I believe it. In most cases, over the years, I've learned, Sal, not to fall for the BS, not to fall for this type of, promotional. That's why I don't ever quote promoters. "This is going to be the best fight you ever saw." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're full of shit. The bottom line is this. I believe that from my heart of hearts that both of these fighters, despite my attitude towards everything going Canelo's way and the contract and everything, I believe that this fight is putting two guys against each other that want this fight bad and feel they got something to prove. That's why, like yesterday's show, I was saying that this fight is going to be one of those memorable fights. This is a fight that people are going to be talking about for years to come, if not forever, because I honestly believe. Now, if this becomes anticlimactic, I may not even follow this sport anymore, because the truth of the matter is, you know what, Sal? If these two guys can't give us a performance like they're promising, I can't believe any other fighter, any other words that come out of fighters' mouth. I'm sorry.
Billy, I agree, pal. This is going to be a war. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be two combatants that are ready for this fight, that are prepared for this fight, mentally, emotionally, physically. They have been training, focused, and ready. We haven't heard any excuses from either training camp as far as how it's going along. This is a bona fide, solid, 100%. Let's get these two warriors in a ring, and one's going to come out with their hand in the air. That's the kind of fight we're going to see. And I agree with you, Bill. This cannot be an anticlimactic fight. These are fighters that come to the ring, that come to the fight, that come to win, that come to desire to be a champion. And with that being said, they're not going to be too hard or too difficult to find each other. And that's why I really feel that this is going to be, as you suggested, one of the most memorable fights that we have seen in a very, very long time.
I got some emails to read that I want to try and get out of the way before we kick you to the curb for Larry, because most of the time a lot of them are addressed to both of us. So this first one is from Jesse, and he says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal, what's your thoughts on timeouts when a kicker's going for a field goal? I think they got to get rid of that, or only call timeout when it reaches the 10-second countdown. This is hurting and delaying the game." He's talking about icing the kicker. Listen, when you're in the NFL and you've reached that point in your career, and let's face it, whether you're sitting on the bench for an NFL team or whether you're the starter, you're the creme de la creme of American football. There's no question about it, and kickers and punters are included. So if a kicker really gets his nerves get upended or whatever by the icing of a kicker, then he's got the wrong job. It is what it is. It's a move that coaches make. It's a normal practice. I think a kicker should expect to be iced. So I don't have a problem with it. He says, I heard that Albert Machado will face Jezreel Corrales on HBO. Your thoughts? I want to see Jezreel Corrales in a fight. His last fight was, he squeaked out a win. To me, he hasn't had a defining fight. So I want to see him. Machado's a good opponent, but I want to see Corrales get to that next level. He says, what were the boxing gloves made out back then? Was it made out of kangaroo skin? I felt kangaroo skin baseball glove, and they are soft, and you can really feel the ball. I'm not sure. I never heard of kangaroo skin being used for boxing gloves. I always thought it was leather, softened leather. I know horsehair was used to stuff them. And do you know anything about that? You've been around 150 years.
Well, it's going to be 151 very soon, but I do know that, it was originally all made of stuffing the horsehair inside the glove. The leather I just took for granted was a regular cowhide leather. I never heard of kangaroo skin, and that would be a first. And I'll tell you, I think you'd have more boxers coming out of Australia if that was the case, no pun intended. And there'd be a little more hop or jump or skip in those gloves. No pun intended.
Yeah, there was pun intended with that one. A lot of fights back in the day were in Australia. It's a good question. I'll try to look into that, Jess. And one last question he has. I read that Joshua Pulov has already sold 70,000 tickets. Is that true? Yeah, I got confirmation about that from Matchroom. Indeed, they've sold in one day 70,000 seats for that upcoming fight. The arena that they fight in will seat a maximum of 80,000, and by the time we're airing this show right now, it's probably already sold out. And if anybody has a question of the drawing power of my man AJ, I think that speaks volumes right there. We got an email from Raheem. Hey, Billy C., it's Raheem. I'm looking forward to the Triple G Canelo fight. I think this will be a great fight. Both fighters are at their best prime conditions and ready to rumble. I think Canelo has learned a lot after his loss to Mayweather, and he's changed the way he boxes and seems quicker than ever with great power. Triple G hasn't lost a fight, but has shown that he can fight with power too. I think Canelo will win this fight because he fought better opposition, including Floyd. And then he throws in who broke Marciano's record. Still, Raheem, you don't get it about the record, so I'm not even going to go there. He says, I think for Triple G, he needs to win. He needs to in order for him to win, he needs to land strong punches early, or he's going to have trouble. It is going to be a good fight. I do think it's good for boxing. I agree with you. And I actually agree that I think Canelo has improved since his loss to Mayweather. I think he learned a lot in that fight. So thanks for the email, Raheem. And one last email. I'm running through them to get them done here, Sal. This is from our man Joel. He says, hey, Billy C., how do you feel about the news last night that Jorge Lara is out of the Jojo Diaz fight on Saturday? I did read that there's a backup in place, Rafael Rivera, who was training for the fight for a fight that was scheduled for the following week. I'm disappointed because I was looking forward to it, but that's the sport. Injuries happen. Jorge Lara is a guy that had a great opportunity. It's not like a guy that I would think backed out of the fight because he was fighting over money. I can't see it, but anytime you lose a fight a couple of days before the fight itself is a problem. Especially since that fight was on the pay-per-view. But look at Rafael Rivera. This is a great opportunity, and let me tell you something: to get a last-minute opponent, especially when you were preparing for someone else, different style or whatever, is more in the last-minute opponent's favor. Jojo Diaz will be tested, I think, more. But it's unfortunate for us, the fan, who has to buy that fight. I thought the Lara fight was a much better fight. He says, I also have to agree with what you and Sal said on the show yesterday. Deontay Wilder isn't the best heavyweight, and I really question if he'll ever step in the ring with AJ. As long as AJ keeps bulldozing opponents, I think he'll be less and less likely we'll ever see the two of them in the ring at the same time. I'm sure Wilder would price himself out of the fight, much like he did with Dillian White, to avoid fighting him. I'm happy that Wilder will be fighting Ortiz. However, I feel that he sees something in Ortiz, and that's the only reason he's taken the fight, be it maybe age or inactivity, but I hope I'm wrong and Ortiz knocks out Wilder, but I doubt it. I think Deontay Wilder, although I don't think he's that great, Sal, because he hasn't been tested, I really think Deontay Wilder is a guy that wants to fight. I think he believes he's good. I think his management is being cautious with him because they know the holes in his armor. I haven't heard that the Ortiz fight was signed, sealed, and delivered yet. I know that they were negotiating, but that is a fight I would like to see. What's your thoughts?
Well, I feel the same way about Deontay Wilder. I think he is talented. I think he's capable of beating a lot of people out there. I do believe that he believes that he is the best out there, and no fault of his own, because that's how you have to approach every fight when you go in with the confidence and level that you could be the winner of these fights. And I do believe that he is also going to try to maneuver in position where he has to be, but I also know that his training camp and his whole management team and promotional team is going to be guarded and careful where they place him. I think he's going to have a hell of a test if he fights Ortiz, and that will expose or enforce a lot of what we will find out about Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder against Joshua, like I said, if that ever does come out and come down, any fighter on any given night, you'll have styles there that would probably be a good contrast on some levels and a good similarity on some others. And I think it'd be a good fight. And I could see the Wilder moving, boxing, and staying away. And I could see Joshua also catching him and knocking him out. So it's going to be a fight that I would love to see. Whether we see it this year or next year, well, it's not going to be this year. Maybe next year, it would be a great time to probably see this by next summer. So we'll see.
Sal, great point there. We will be getting back to you a little later, all right, my man?
I'll expect, or I'll look for a call in probably about an hour or so, and I'll be ready, pal.
You got it. We'll talk later. That's Sal Rocky Senecola. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're scheduled to have Larry Hazzard, so don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would think.
Palla tagliata, messa fuori, c'è
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, talking boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in. Because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Don't forget, we are doing a Triple G Canelo post-fight show immediately after the official announcement is made Saturday night. So approximately 6 minutes after the fight, tune it in right here, wherever you're watching or listening to the show. Joining me right now, my man, Larry Hazzard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Billy.
What's going
How
on,
you doing,
man?
Billy?
Hey, a lot of stuff to talk about, man. So you ready to roll?
Always ready, Billy. Always ready.
First and foremost, Chocolito. He fights.
Oh, my God.
He fights Saturday. You know, I watched that fight last week, and I'm actually I felt sadness because you know what I saw, and I'm curious to get your thoughts. I saw a guy that looks like he's not into the sport anymore, and you know, we've discussed it in depth. You know, it could be the fact that, you know, he met a guy that just has his number. It could be the fact that he moved up too much weight. It could be the fact that he aged. You know, he's 30 years old for that division is old. You know, it could be a lot of things. But, you know, I'm watching him during the warm-ups when they threw the camera on him and stuff. And, you know, he kind of had that same look on his face that he had in the last fight. It's almost like the desire is gone. I think this guy should hang him up, Larry, and the reason is I think he's a step away from getting seriously hurt. What's your thoughts on that fight, and where should he go from here?
Well, you got a good read on it. It just takes you back to knowing, man, that you know, you cannot play boxing. Here's a kid who, as I recall, we had some conversation about him going back some time where, man, I was so high on this kid. I was already, you know, naming him pound for pound the best going, man. I mean, to me, he was Alexis Arguello's prototype, or Alexis was the prototype for him, either way. But I was thinking to myself, man, Arguello must be turning over, you know, with this. Something has happened, or something happened to that kid, man. I don't know if it was that first fight that did it, or whether something has happened that we don't know about and will eventually hear about. But I have never seen the erosion of a fighter so quickly as I have seen with this kid Chocolito. You know, I actually thought that he was going to come back and win this fight because I thought that he did pull it out in the first one. Although he got, you know, it was close, and he finally kind of got going, and I really thought that he had won that first fight, okay, and that, okay, he's going to come back now and redeem himself, even by a knockout or a stoppage the other way. But, as you see, we were all disappointed, at least those of us who had faith in him. I really don't know, man. I don't know what happened. But this kid was nothing. He wasn't even a shadow of himself. He was just totally out of it. I watched that ring walk, man, when he was coming into the ring, coming down the path to the ring. I said, man, this guy, he just don't look like he's into this.
No.
You know, like he was out in La La Land somewhere with that expression on his face.
Yes.
And even right from the early part of the fight, it seemed like he was trying to complain about something early on that was really nothing, you know. And I'm saying, man, something's wrong here. And shortly thereafter, we saw, I mean, he was just totally controlled. Every time he would throw something, the opponent would just say, okay, that's what you got? Now, try this. You know, he just come right back. I'm saying, wow, man, he just looks so submerged in that fight beneath his opponent. I have no idea what happened.
Yes.
But it just goes to show. It just goes to show you never know. But like I always say, anything can happen. Anything can happen in a fight. And certainly it played out in that fight against with Chocolito. Very disappointing.
You know, I've been around fighters a long time. And, you know, I've learned to read between the lines. And, you know, you make a good point. In that fight, he started complaining early. And he also, the other telltale that a fighter isn't going to win a fight is when they start tapping gloves after every round. You know, they want to be friends, you know. And listen, being sportsmen after a fight and stuff, I'm all for it. I respect fighters that go into battle and then after the fight, you know, hey, that was our job, you know, we're buddies now. But during a fight where they're tapping and high-fiving and winking and looking like they want to get a hotel room, to me, that is that's a sign that I want to be your friend. I don't want to fight you. And, you know, that's what Chocolito was doing. And the other thing that you know, came to light is that, and a lot of people, this wasn't in the media a lot, but if you remember, the guy before the first fight with this Rungzaval, he had lost his longtime trainer who was training him from the amateurs, and then he had brought in another guy who was in the corner for the first fight. Then he got rid of that guy, and he was with a trainer from Japan for this second fight. So there was clearly some you know, there was no stability in my opinion, in his training camp, and it definitely leaked out. He looked like a beat fighter in the dressing room. He really did, and I hope he hangs him up because I don't see any rebound from this. Once you lose the desire, Larry, it's over, right?
Well, that type of performance is very hard to come back from. So I agree with you absolutely on this. He should hang it up. If he doesn't have the desire, he definitely should hang it up before he gets seriously injured.
Hey, Larry, I got several other things I want to talk to you about. Real quick, we got to see Inoue fight, and his nickname is the Monster, which is kind of funny when you're thinking about the weight class. But he looked really impressive. I mean, he battered Nueves around. Do you see a future for this guy, and do you see a future for him here in the States?
Yes, I do. I mean, how do you like that jab, man?
God,
Ooh.
I mean, he just, you know, I very rarely listen to the announcers anymore because I get really sick to my stomach, especially Showtime. But one thing I agreed, and this was HBO, of course, but one thing I agreed, I think it was Max Kellerman said, you heard this guy. Every punch he threw, you heard. And what made it even more, I mean, you know, you hear Anthony Joshua's punches, you hear Triple G's punches, you know. But when you're listening to a flyweight or a super flyweight and you're hearing these thudding punches, and you could see it on Nueve's face. I mean, he was looking for a spot in that ring to hide. I mean, if there was a box, he would have crawled into it. You know, in his corner, you know, I really hate, and you've said it a million times, I hate when the corner is too tough for their fighters. I mean, this guy, you know, if he knows his fighter, and he should know his fighter better than anyone, he knew that this kid didn't have a chance. I don't think there was any any disgrace in stopping that fight a round or two sooner. No way was Nueve's going to win that fight. I think they let him take an extra round of punishment unnecessarily.
Well, once again, like like you've seen it, the cornermen and referees are the bravest people in the sport of boxing. Some, not all, but that's where you see the bravery in referees and cornermen. But I agree, that fight could have been stopped a round or so sooner, because that kid was just totally out of that. He had a tiger by his tail, man, and there was no way he was getting out of there without getting, carried out or stopped. So,
he knew that, and that was the look on his face too. He's like, he's looking for help.
Yeah.
When you look at your corner, you know what? When your trainer is talking to you in between rounds, and you got that look on your face, you got to stop. You got to protect that kid. I can't stand it. Everybody's so critical of referees and stuff like that, but you know what? It comes from the corner first, my man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Without question. Without question.
I wanted to get your thoughts real quick on, I love Anthony Joshua. I know you're a fan too, and he's fighting Pulov. He's honoring a mandatory. Pulov's a big guy and stuff. I've gotten to see him fight live, and I don't think AJ's going to have any problem with him. But what is your thoughts on the drawing power this kid has? They had whatever it was, 90,000 people for the Klitschko fight, but now for Pulov, I mean, that's Klitschko. But Pulov, they sold 70,000 seats in this arena in one day, and probably as we're live right now, the rest of the 10,000, the arena seats 80,000, was probably sold out now. I mean, what's that telling you about this kid, Anthony Joshua?
Well, it tells you he has arrived. We have another real heavyweight champion, okay? And Deontay Wilder and these other guys, they better take a look at that, because to me, this guy, and believe me, I do not put him on the level with Ali, but I think that he really has the potential of being close to, bringing the type of excitement that Ali did for the past era in terms of the heavyweight division. He can fight. He's good looking. The kid, he has that linear, muscular, ectomorphic body style. All of these things go together with being heavyweight champion.
Yeah, but wait, remember one thing, and we've talked about this too, and I don't mean to cut you off, but it's really the burden, the success for Anthony Joshua. And I agree. I mean, it's not like we're comparing him to Ali, but Ali had something that we hope AJ gets, and that's willing dance partners. Ali had Norton and Foreman and Frazier and, the rest of the guys that he fought, all those great heavyweights. They all were willing to fight. We have some dance partners for AJ. The question is, are they willing to fight the guy?
Well, we'll see. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm building that foundation. Before we discovered the dance partners for Ali, there was still a lot that Ali brought to the dance by himself. So he put us in search of those partners. Now, what you're saying is very, very true. I mean, you can't discount that. Without those dance partners, we will never see exactly how good this kid is. But if these guys are willing to fight him, then I think that he does have all of the equipment to really generate the type, or close to the type of excitement that we had during the Ali era, or at least close to it. Because, that fight with Klitschko became like a signature introduction to what this guy, the potential that he really has. And, there's Wilder, there's some of these other heavyweights out there. If they're willing to step up and fight this guy, not only are they going to do a lot for themselves, provided they are competitive, they're going to do a hell of a lot for reviving the sport of boxing through the heavyweight division. the way it has always been. So I'm very excited about Joshua, and I think that he does have the potential to do it.
This weekend we got a huge fight, Larry. Triple G Canelo. We've been breaking it down, dissecting it every which way. But a simple question I have for you is this, and I know you hate it when I say what I'm about to say because you can't comment. But I've lost a lot of respect for the Nevada State Athletic Commission, specifically Bob Bennett, and I have this funny feeling. I'm reading some of the things that are coming out now about the contracts and rematch clauses and how they work and who's the A side, who's coming out first. I mean, Triple G's the champion. He's got all the belts. They're actually billing Canelo as the linear champion because he had beaten what's his name? Anyway, he won. Who the heck did he beat? Sergio Martinez for the So my question is this: do you think Triple G would get a fair decision in Las Vegas if he beat Canelo, and didn't knock him out, or do you feel like myself that Triple G has to get a knockout to win this fight?
Well, honestly, I think that he could get a fair decision. I have to feel that way. And I really do. I think that if he performs well, he's going. I think he could get a fair decision because I don't think that the fight is going to end in a knockout. So we're going to find out. Okay, we are going to find out. I think that he has a big mountain to climb, though, against Canelo, because I think that there was a lot exposed in Triple G in the Danny Jacobs fight. I saw some things that I hadn't seen, and I'm wondering if the Canelo camp saw it. I know that Canelo has decent boxing skills. He gives his opponents a lot of movement, and he's aggressive. And somehow I think I saw in the fight with Danny that Triple G had some trouble with some of those elements. So we're going to see how it plays out. But I do think he could get a fair decision in Nevada if he performs well.
You make a good point about Triple G, and fighters that have movement seem to give him a little trouble, even though I think that Triple G is the best ring general in boxing and has been for the last 20 years. I mean, this guy, not only does he cut the ring off, he anticipates where a fighter is going to try to go next, and he's already there.
Yeah.
The thing that Danny Jacobs did, and this will forever be a question mark in my mind, because there's a lot of talk about it, and they felt that he wanted that fight to go to distance. Abel Sanchez suggesting that he wanted the fight to go to distance to coax Canelo in, blah blah blah. I'm not so sure I buy that, but the truth of the matter is Danny Jacobs is able to land effective punches while he's on the move, and that is what gives Triple G trouble. The problem with Canelo is he can't do that. Canelo, he throws punches on the move, but they're not effective. And the only way I've seen Canelo, even though he's improved greatly over the last several years, the one thing that I've noticed that he has not been able to improve is to do that, to hit on the move effectively. He definitely has to plant his feet and then let his hands go. That's when he does the most damage to his opponents. He works the body, he knocks out people. He's planted, and it's like textbook. If he tries to get away with that against Triple G, he's going to be in Triple G's wheelhouse. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if this fight's going to go to the scorecards. I really don't. Because Canelo could knock out Triple G just as well. So I don't know. I think this fight is going to end before 12 rounds.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb, okay? And I feel comfortable in doing it since we're talking strategy. If this fight doesn't go the limit, then I think it's going to be Canelo with his hands raised. That's just my opinion.
You think Canelo knocks out Triple G before Triple G knocks out Canelo?
Yes, that's what I believe.
Wow.
That's what I believe.
Wow.
Yep.
If we were having this conversation, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have even given Canelo a chance. But to me, this is a 100% 50-50 fight. I mean, I don't even know what the odds are on it in Vegas, but to me, this is a 50-50 fight. And I think people are going to be surprised when they see the two fighters in the ring. I believe Canelo will be the bigger guy. Now, he won't be taller because Triple G's got an inch and a half on him, but I think girth and size, you're going to say, wow, Triple G's not that big of a guy. And that's been my platform for years about Triple G. Everybody talks about, oh, he's a monster, he's a killer, he's a giant in the middleweight. No, he's not. He's not that big, and I think you're going to really see it on Saturday night.
Well, one thing I love is that I love this conversation we're having because you know me, I'm more of a boxing purist in a global fashion. Okay, this is the type of conversation that I've been yearning to have for years. Okay, when we could sit down and agree to disagree, talking about two very, very, very talented fighters who are fighting each other. We really don't know who's going to win. That's the way boxing should be. You give your viewpoint, I give mine. We can talk about, the strong points of one, weak points of other. This tells me how much alive the great sport of boxing is. We have come back from the dead because we were damn near in the grave at one point. And for a fact, this is something that we talked about for a long time now, Billy, where we'd have a fight. This is a pay-per-view event. This is an event that I am going to buy, and I cannot wait to see. And so, it's great. And like I said, I think that if it goes the distance, that Canelo's going to win. So we'll see. But it's great to be having this conversation.
So basically you're picking Canelo because if you said, I think if it goes the distance, they're going to rob Triple G and give it to Canelo. And then I said, well, I don't think it's going to go the distance. And you said, well, if it doesn't go the distance, you're picking Canelo. So either way, it sounds like you're picking Canelo. I'm having a hard time, but maybe we'll put dinner on the line. I'm going to go the other way because I think Triple G. I think that, he conceded all that stuff, and he really has. I think this is the kind of fight that you don't have to plant seeds of motivation in fighters, but if anybody has a little edge on motivation, I think it's Triple G. And I'll be glad to have you treat a steak dinner anytime. So
I really think they caught him at the right time.
No. Hey, listen. There's no question that they waited, and the wait has definitely favored Canelo.
Yes.
He's gotten better. He's gotten, he's grown into his body, and 8 years is a big difference. And when you look at I've dissected the records. I've looked at all the fights, and actually, they both have 10. Canelo has 11 fighters that I would rate above average or top opposition, and he went 10-1 against those 11 fighters. Of course, losing to Floyd. And when you look at Triple G, he too has fought 10 upper level opponents, and he's 10-0. So this fight is a lot closer on paper too. So it's going to be a good one. And if you got some time, let me know because I'd love to have you come on the post-fight show. And
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. So I'll give you a shout. On yourself. One last question, Larry. It was announced earlier in the week that the World Boxing Super Series, in one of the best fights of that series, is going to be in Newark, New Jersey. I might want to come down for that fight. I mean, you got room for me or what?
Anytime. You just let me know.
Well,
you let me know. It's going to be at the Proof. It's going to be at the Proof. I can't handle these names, but And is that Gassiev and Walzowick or whatever his name.
Yeah, it's Vlad against Gassiev, and Gassiev's the champion. And I would love to come down. I will reach out to you, and we'll make plans. It's on Saturday, October 21st, and I love this World Boxing Super Series, and that's a fight to see, especially in New Jersey.
Well, man, I hope they just keep coming. I'm feeling real good about that Hard Rock opening up next May in Atlantic City. That Hard Rock, they've always been into boxing. So I'm getting some good vibes coming out of there that they really want to do some things. So I'm very hopeful. So what you do is just give me a shout out. You got to see that ringside anytime, or not at ringside, but at the commissioner's table. Okay.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to make plans to come down for that fight because I'm really into this World Boxing Super Series and the cruiserweights. And hey, I'll collect on my dinner too.
Okay, very good. There you go. That's it.
Hey, listen, I'll definitely be calling you for the post-fight show Saturday night. So be waiting for that. All right.
Okay, Billy.
All right,
okay, buddy.
You have a good one.
You too.
Take care. That's Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard. And I hope I'm not buying him the filet mignon dinner on the 21st. But hey, get tickets, man. Go down to Jersey. That's the fight you want to see. Gaziev Vlad in New Jersey. Let's help bring boxing back to the state of New Jersey. That's for sure. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we will have the blast from the past. This week, Winky Wright. Winky Wright. He's a blast already? Yeah, he is. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back, part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget to be with us on Saturday night, approximately 6 minutes after the official announcement of the winner of Triple G Canelo. Tune it in right here, wherever you're watching or listening to this show for the Billy C. Triple G Canelo post-fight show. We will give you our thoughts, and we'll open up the phone lines and get your thoughts. So, hey, everybody's all jacked up after these big fights, and it's, 1 in the morning. Where else are you going to go? You're going to come right here to our post-fight show. Well, it's that time again. We are doing one of our longest-running segments, the Blast from the Past, and this week's Blast from the Past is being brought to us by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Sign up today. And, of course, the Title Bout Championship computer game. Download the newest version. It's easy. Just visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Title Bout banner, which is right there. You can't miss it. It's on the right-hand side. This week's Blast from the Past features former world champion Winky Wright, or should I say Ronald Winky Wright. That's like a tongue twister. Joining me right now to tell us all about Ronald Winky Wright is my man, Alex Pierpaoli. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
I'm doing okay. First and foremost, Winky Wright. Is it kind of like, I don't know, I'm older than you, but is it kind of like a blast from the past on Winky Wright? Isn't he still fighting? It's like, oh my God, people are asking for blasts on this guy already. I mean, his last fight was 4 years ago, but I guess it's justifiable, right?
Yep, he's in the Hall of Fame. So what is it? I think it's 6 years now. 2012. So yeah, it's 5 years.
Wait a minute, he's not in the Hall of Fame yet.
No, he isn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute, he's not even eligible. It's 5 years.
Eligible this year.
5 years, right? 2018. Yeah, he'll be
June 2nd, 2012 was his last fight. So 5 years. So he became eligible this June. So yeah, he probably will be on the ballot this year, and I bet he gets in.
in. Look at the names on his resume.
Yeah, I think he's deserving of it.
This is a guy who he's fought everybody. No, but he did fight some big names. I mean, he's got a win over Felix Trinidad. Trinidad's in there.
Yeah.
Sugar Shane Mosley, he had his number. Anyway, yep. Tell us about Winky Wright.
Okay, Ronald Winky Wright, his real name is actually Ronald Lamont Wright, and he was born November 26, 1971 in Washington, D.C., and he's 5'10" and a half. Some places actually he what was the other weight? Their height on him was 5'10" and a half. Actually, is in both places I saw. Cyber Boxing Zone claims some sources say he might be a little shorter, more like 5'8" and a half. But and he fought. He was a champion at 154, and he held a title at 160. So 2 divisions there.
Where did he get a middleweight title?
Maybe it was an eliminator. Wasn't an eliminator, my bad.
Which one? Sam Solomon? The Sam Solomon fight?
Yeah, you're right. He won 2 elimination bouts. Middleweight elimination bouts. One was with Tito, and the other was Sam Solomon. Those were qualifiers, and then he fought Jermaine Taylor, who was the middleweight champion, and got a draw in a fight that I thought he deserved.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
In some of his losses, this was a guy that was robbed, and I think because of his style, and I didn't mean to jump ahead, but it's justifiable. His style, which was defensive oriented, is I'm not comparing him to Floyd. But in similar to Floyd, his focus was on defense. And what the difference between him and Floyd was Floyd got the nods for a lot of rounds that he fought being a defensive fighter, and Winky Wright seemed to not get the nod. I mean, I don't know. And you can't say that a defensive guy like Floyd was more exciting than Winky. I mean, Winky wasn't exactly an exciting fighter unless you forced him to be. So I don't know. It's a tough one to look at his career because I felt he did get robbed in several fights, Alex.
Yes, I agree with you. I think the chief among them, and it hurts me to say it because I love that guy so much, I thought he beat Fernando Vargas. And that was a really important fight at the time for both guys. It was a close fight. That was in 1999. It was when the junior middles were amazing. The junior middles, you had Vargas and Trinidad, which I just mentioned in the chat room. This week, I keep thinking, if we have a fight like that, man, that would be awesome. But this week, and in our build-up for Canelo Triple G, I keep thinking that I haven't been as excited for a fight as I have since Vargas Trinidad. So that was one of those things that Winky comes out of that age of junior middleweight. 154 was a pretty hot, and 147 at the time was hot too, because you had De La Hoya, you had Mosley, Vargas. Winky had a style. You're right. He was defensive, but it was not counter-punching style. He could counter-punch, but he used that sort of crab or case, not crab, but like he would use like a case defense, and he would get those hands up and take punches on his forearms and just go defensive. If he had the right opponent, that fight against Sam Solomon was an exciting fight. If he had a guy against him that threw a lot of punches, he was fun, because unlike Mayweather, who uses distance to sort of keep an opponent, keep him in a safe position, and then goes in and out really quickly, and is able to slip punches and stuff. Winky would take them on his arms or take them on that defense, catch them, and then counter. So he stayed a little closer. But again, when you see a guy with his hands up and the other guy's just sort of landing, sometimes that's not always fun to watch. So yeah, he did suffer because of that, because people thought his, as much as he was just a superb boxer, because he was sort of defensive-minded style, people disliked it. He sort of, as an amateur, he's a really good amateur. He had been 139 USA champ, 139-pounder. He sort of was in the gap there between Olympics. So he did not fight. I don't see that he was in the Olympic trials. Between like 88 and 90, he was 139-pound champion a couple times in the USA. One of the things that he did a lot as a pro, because of his style, he was a road warrior. He fought in Luxembourg, he fought in Germany, he fought in France, he fought in Monaco, just to get fights. And he kept winning. That was one of those things. When you have a style like this, Billy C, when you one of the worst things you could do for your career, the longevity of your career, is keep winning, because then nobody wants to fight you because you're a difficult opponent.
I agree with you on that, but just landing on his forearms or his elbows or whatever, and he's blocking the punches, or they're not landing significantly. Sometimes a judge might look at that as being, not good, and enough punches. And even in his, payday fight, in his last fight against Kid Chocolate, Peter Quinlan in 2012, it was a similar fight. I mean, I thought that he, was faring well, but he just wasn't letting his hands go. I mean, he didn't get hurt, but he didn't let his hands go either. I mean, you got to be a defensive fighter to protect yourself, but on the other hand, you got to throw punches.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that probably did hurt him in the fight with Jermaine Taylor, especially in that final round. If you remember, very little happened in that final round, and the fight was on the table. And if Winky stepped it up, maybe he would have been able to call himself middleweight champion, because he did end up with a draw. I thought that he won that fight. Again, at the championship level, especially in Vegas, I've always thought that fight actually with Jermaine Taylor was actually in Memphis, but so what I'm about to say doesn't always jive, but does not apply. But Vegas likes the busier fighter. They like action. They don't like defensive fighters. I mean, look at like Pernell Whitaker, Oscar De La Hoya as an example. That was a major fight that I thought De La Hoya lost. But they did not give it to Whitaker. That was the thing with Winky Wright versus Felix Trinidad. I thought Winky won it or deserved it, but like you said, he probably left it on the table because in that last round he just was not busy. The other thing that you can suffer from when you're getting hit like that and blocking punches, absorbing punches, but not in vital areas, not in scoring areas, is that the judges can be deceived by it if they are hard enough that they knock you off balance. And that very likely what could have happened, because when you I did not see the fight, but when you read about it, Winky thought he won. His first loss was against Julio Cesar Vasquez, and that was in France. He thought he outboxed him. He lost a decision. He was dropped 5 times. He claimed that he kept slipping and getting sort of brushed down. The ref, you know, and this sometimes happens if you're in hostile territory, the ref kept calling him knockdowns, and that's what eventually cost him the fight. But like I said, I have not seen that fight, so I don't know. I don't have an opinion on whether they were knockdowns or not, but that's the kind of thing that can happen if you're absorbing the shot rather than ducking out of the way of it like a Mayweather.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, it backs up what we were saying before. I mean, you got to throw punches. You got to land significant punches. As far as, not getting knocked down, slipping and all of that, make a change. Do something with your shoes. Stay away from that side of the ring. I mean, make an adjustment, but, he fought some big fights and won some big fights and was, like we suggested, potentially robbed from others. I think his defining fights had to be the win against Trinidad, his 2 wins against Sugar Shane Mosley. Sugar Shane Mosley at that time was starting to age, but he also was moving up in weight. I mean, as a lightweight, Sugar Shane Mosley was probably one of the best lightweights around. But I still give Winky a lot of credit for beating him because he beat him twice. And I agree with you, Alex. I think that the Jermaine Taylor fight could have went Winky's way, and I don't know if there would have been much of an outcry. I think there was more of an outcry that it was a draw, to be honest with you. So I think he's won some big fights. Robert Push-Up Frazier, earlier in his career, he won. So, when you take a look at the 6 losses that he's had, technically he's never been stopped. 3 of those 6 came in the end of his career where he was not the same fighter. The B-Hop, Paul Williams, and then, of course, his last fight 3 years after the Williams fight against Kid Chocolate, Peter Quinlan. They were all losses, but he went the distance in all of them. With a guy like Winky Wright, you knew what you were getting. You were getting a rugged, tough fighter. This was a guy that was hard to stop, hard to hit. I think the only negative on Winky Wright was that he didn't let his hands go enough, and he was a southpaw. So he should have let his hands go more. It's tough, avoid getting hit. I get into this argument with people all the time. And again, this was a big difference with Winky versus Mayweather. And the only reason why I'm bringing Mayweather up is because he's known as a defensive fighter. Mayweather, like you said, Alex, and you said it perfect, Mayweather used distance for his defense, which, in my opinion, isn't the sweet science because Mayweather's not in a position to hit if he's away. You can't hit him, but he can't hit you. Ronald Winky Wright was. He was in defensively solid, so fighters weren't hitting or they weren't landing flush, but Winky was in position to counterpunch and failed to.
Absolutely. He stayed in the pocket. And that's the other thing, too. He liked to mix it up. He was a rugged, tough opponent, dangerous opponent. And you'd got to say, of the age, he fought everybody. And it wasn't happening at first, I think in part because he almost played the spoiler role on the career of Fernando Vargas. So he was like sort of locked out of those big name fights. And it was Shane Mosley, the badass that he was, who would fight everybody, who things had kind of run out for Shane a little bit, remember, because he had been the badass at welterweight after beating De La Hoya the first time, but then he was upset by Vernon Forrest, lost back-to-back fights. Then he came back, beat De La Hoya again in what a lot of people thought was controversial. I was at that fight. I didn't think it was controversial. Part of the controversy, however, did come when it was later revealed that was the Balco fight. So Mosley was juiced on that fight. And at that time, Winky was shopping around for a fight and saying, somebody please at junior middle, fight me. And it was Mosley who said, yeah, let me do it. And he got beat pretty soundly. And I think those two wins and the Trinidad win are definitely what put Winky Wright, give him most of his credentials for the Hall of Fame. But I do think that that does show you something about Sugar Shane Mosley. Was not only did he lose once, but then he fought him again. They had a rematch clause. And he was defeated again. And it wasn't until that, the big money maker, what's his name? Felix Trinidad, rather, faced Winky Wright until Trinidad's mystique was really gone. It was Bernard Hopkins in 2001 that shattered that. And it was Winky fought Trinidad in 2005. And it is probably one of the most lopsided fights you could ever watch. Winky completely dominates him, shuts him down. It's sad. Trinidad can't do anything.
Yeah, Trinidad. It's almost like what we witnessed last weekend when fighters, and that's the one of the biggest negatives on boxing in the sport of boxing, aside from fighters becoming damaged forever, but the diminishing of their skill set overnight. I mean, I don't think there's another sport that magnifies it as much as boxing. And speaking of, did you hear that? Totally off subject, but Abdulzimov won that lawsuit, $22 million.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. It's probably not a lot of consolation to the family, but it will certainly help with what I'm sure are just absolutely ridiculous medical bills.
Just the daily routine, the daily routine that they have to go through. But anyway, Winky Wright. I mean, we've been talking all about his style and some of the lack of excitement. Just to put it in perspective, his last knockout, you have to go all the way back to 2002. Jason Papillon is a guy that he knocked out, and just far and few in between. Despite a 43% knockout ratio, all of those fights came early in his career because he just had morphed into a 100% defensive fighter. And again, I can't emphasize more that if he just let his hands go a little more, several of those losses, at least 3 of them, would have been W's. You can make the argument that the last 3 were just a combination of his own skills diminishing and fighting younger, stronger fighters.
True. Yeah, and I think I just have to say, just my own experience, the fight that I covered live, a Winky Wright fight, was the Sam Soliman fight, which was, like I said, a middleweight, like I said earlier, a middleweight elimination bout. So this was later in Winky's career. It was 2005. It was actually a really fun fight to watch because Sam Soliman fought like a man possessed. And that was exactly what Winky Wright needed to look good. So you had this just little engine, punching engine in Solomon, just hurling shots. every round, and Winky just sort of covering up and picking him off. It was a really fun fight to watch, and it did kind of show a thing about, no offense to my Connecticut brethren here, but it's a little uneducated boxing crowd there at Mohegan Sun, because I remember they were very disappointed. They thought Solomon deserved the decision, but you can't give a decision to a guy who's just busy if he's completely ineffective. And that was the thing about it, was Winky wasn't damaged at all. It was, I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. And of course the next fight was the Jermaine Taylor fight. But if you look at Winky's credentials, he fought all the tough guys at 154, and even in his second to last fight, he fought one of the toughest guys, the sort of unsung hero at 147, who unfortunately could never become what we thought he would because of that tragic motorcycle accident, and that was Paul the Punisher Williams. So, Winky, he's got some pretty good credentials. And, he fought Bernard Hopkins, too, so there's another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no, Winky Wright was a fighter that was definitely avoided because he was a tough nut to crack. I mean, his defensive skill, and he was tall, for a southpaw. And, we keep talking about the middleweight division, him fighting the Eliminator and getting a shot at Jermaine Taylor's world title, but for the most part, Winky Wright, another thing that we don't see often in today's sport of boxing, for the most part, he stayed in his weight class, which I respect big time. But how did he do in title bout?
He did very well. I just wanted to say, after boxing, I couldn't, the only thing I found this was on Wikipedia, and it does mention that it's, they have no citations for any of this, so you wonder, maybe it could just be some marketing person that works for Winky that filled it out. But after boxing, he did do a little acting. He actually has a cameo in a 2005 movie called State Property 2, which was the final film of Old Dirty Bastard. I know you're a big fan of his, Billy C. And then he was also in one episode of a short-lived series in 2004 called The Jury. And he does have a record label and a promotional company. It's called Pound for Pound Records in St. Petersburg, Florida. In the Title Bout Championship boxing game, I put him in against two guys who we're going to hear from this weekend, one at 154 and one at 160, versus Canelo at 154. The first time they fought, Winky wins a TKO in a really a barn burner of a fight. A fifth round TKO, 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Winky wins a stoppage. Canelo had the Wink down in the second round. When they fight 100 times, the Wink dominates. 59 victories, 32 defeats, 9 draws. He scored 12 knockouts. In his 32 wins, Cinnamon scored 11 knockouts. When I put him in against Golovkin at 160, the first time they fight, Golovkin wins a split decision, a score of 114-113 for Winky, another for Golovkin that same way, and then the tiebreaker is a 115-112 victory for Golovkin. Golovkin did drop him once in the fifth off a hard right hand. When they fight 100 times, Golovkin does one better than Canelo. He wins 60, defeats, Winky does one better than he did against Canelo. Golovkin, Winky goes 60 wins, 34 defeats, 6 draws. He stops Golovkin 17 times, and in his 34 wins, Golovkin knocked Winky out 13 times.
Interesting. That's interesting from title bout. You would assume because of what I said, that he fought most of his career at 154, that at least Triple G would have dominated him. But interesting. Great job as usual, Alex. Ronald Winky Wright, former world junior middleweight champion and a world middleweight title challenger. He had a career record of 51 wins, 25 coming by knockout, 6 losses in which he was never stopped, 1 draw, 403 rounds of his total 58 fights with a knockout percentage of 43%. I personally think he will get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Whether it be this year or soon, it all depends on the rest of the ballot. But great job as usual, Alex. Remember, if you want to get someone done here on the Blast from the Past, just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Alex, before we let you go, now tomorrow we hope that you come in with your final thoughts and predictions on Triple G Canelo. We are not doing a show Friday, so we'll hope to get you here for that. And, of course, the post-fight show Saturday night. But my quick question for you is, can Triple G... Well, you already know I got a steak dinner on the line against Larry, so I got to start seeing what other people think. Do you think Triple G could get a fair decision in Las Vegas, or does he have to win by knockout? What's your thoughts?
I think that this fight actually could come down to that question. I gotta say that I hope he could get a fair decision, and I believe I'm a supporter of this sport, so I'd like to say that I believe in its apparatus of how things work. But I'm also a fan of this sport, so I know that that's kind of sometimes something you shouldn't do is trust that things are going to work out.
Trust. I
do think it's going to be a controversial fight. I think that this fight is a lot closer now than it was when it was first started. When we first started salivating for it, I think it might come down to being a close 7-5 fight. And you're right. I think that maybe the smart money is to think that that's going to break Golden Boy's way.
Yeah,
I hope that that's not what it comes down to. I don't know. I mean, Jacobs changed things for me.
Well, I mean, Daniel Jacobs. Hey, Triple G said it best. Canelo's no Daniel Jacobs, and I don't think he meant that in a disrespecting way. I think he meant it in a way that Daniel Jacobs was a bigger guy. He could he can hit on the move. He can do things that Canelo doesn't. So listen. In a perfect boxing world, fighters that win rounds actually win fights. So I hope that happens on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean the thing about the Canelo, the body attack is just absolutely a withering body attack that Canelo puts out there. Some of Daniel Jacobs' best moments were landing body shots.
Good point.
Now, that certainly was the key for Andre Ward. Kovalev does not like it in the body, and if you saw that interview with John David Jackson, wow, it sure sounds like Kovalev doesn't like the body. Andre Ward figured that out. It could be that Golovkin doesn't like it hitting the body.
Well, we've seen Triple G wince from body shots. So it's a good point.
That's not a good sort of chink to have in your armor to go in there against Canelo, because he's the young, hungry body punching machine. I don't know. I think we're going to see a good fight, and I think unlike Mayweather-McGregor, if people want to see somebody get hurt, this is a sport of physical harm. You're going to see that this weekend.
Yeah.
These guys are going to be serious, and this is going to be good. I mean, I'm looking forward to this very, very much.
Oh, I can't wait. Hey, I got to go for a break, but one last thing. Remember, you're right. Canelo works the body great, but in order to work the body of Triple G, he's got to stand in front of Triple G.
Right, and
that could be good night Canelo. So
absolutely
looking forward to your breakdowns tomorrow, and definitely on the post fight show, Alex.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, Billy C.
All right, that's Alex Pierpaoli doing the blast from the past and giving us his thoughts if Triple G can get a fair shake in Las Vegas. I don't know. We'll yet to be seen. I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. Graze.com for your first box free.
If you injury, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869. Or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the...
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. We certainly are happy you're with us. And don't forget, join us as soon as the Triple G Canelo fight is over. We're doing a Billy C. Triple G Canelo post-fight show. We will go live approximately 6 minutes after the official announcement is made. So when you're all jacked up after a great fight, you're going to want to talk about it, so come on over right here, wherever you're watching or listening to the show, where we'll open up the phone lines, so be there, or be square. Oh, geez, that's an old saying. Speaking of old, joining me right now is Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, we got some issues I wanted to talk about real quick. Anthony Joshua. Tomorrow we're going to break down and give our final predictions on the Triple G Canelo fight, but Anthony Joshua... it's no secret that I love this guy. Now, there is another heavyweight in the mix. We're always talking about Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, primarily the 2 world heavyweight champions. But there is another heavyweight champion in the mix. His name is Joseph Parker. And he was quoted as saying that he could not, if he was given the chance to fight Anthony Joshua, that he would knock him out. He said, I think everyone wants to fight Anthony Joshua because he's a big draw here in the UK. If I had the chance to fight him, and this is Joseph Parker, he says, it would be an exciting fight. I back myself with any heavyweight in the world that I get in the ring with. So if I had the opportunity to fight him, I will knock him out. He's got a fight against Hughie Fury coming up. Hughie Fury is a far cry from Anthony Joshua, but I think he's right. I think, anybody's going to want an opportunity to fight AJ because of the money involved, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if I was still in the mix, I would have been saying a long time ago, I want to fight Floyd Mayweather. I can knock him out. Go a little bit, and it's not. Freedom is free world, and if you believe in yourself, try and convince, and tout your horn and see what happens. But, I think it's not the reality of the situation.
So we're having a real hard time picking up what you're saying, my man. But one last question
sorry.
I wanted to ask you. Speaking on Anthony Joshua, 70,000. Now his next fight, which is in October 28th against Kubrat Pulev, in a venue that holds 80,000 people at Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. Tickets went on sale on Monday. And within the time that people could buy tickets, the first day sold 70,000 tickets. I'm anticipating this to be sold out today by 80,000. His last fight sold 90,000 tickets at Wembley Stadium against Klitschko. Is there any doubt that Anthony Joshua is a huge draw?
No doubt whatsoever. I mean, this is the darling of the European bloc. This is the darling of the heavyweight division. This is I hate to use a phrase that we haven't really talked about in decades, but this is the contemporary matinee idol. People want to see him. People want to look at him. People want to see if he's for real. They want to see him display his power. They want to see him display what his skill set is. And so he is a big draw.
I think he is not only a draw in the UK. I think he would be equally big here in the States, and I think that he's driving boxing right now, in my opinion. I really do. I mean, listen, Triple G Canelo, huge fight for boxing, great for boxing, but Anthony Joshua, I think, has really put the icing on the cake for the sport. But that's my opinion. But hey, hopefully, Sal, tomorrow you will be back up and running, because we got an important show laid out for us tomorrow. We are going to do breakdowns and predictions of the big fight, which is scheduled for Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that, my man. But listen, hopefully you can get some more tinfoil, and you can get some power, and you can get all those happy things. And I don't know what's going on now, but I think we just lost Sal. But the bottom line is this. Listen, boys and girls, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.